you have those problems, you feel like you're dying. It's like, why am I having this?
Hi, my name is Trinika Renee, and you're watching a very special edition of Melanin Madrid TV. Our Melanin Madrid family is located in what was once considered the epicenter for coronavirus cases. Throughout this long road, we wanted to make sure to keep you up to date. We have our members that are here giving you frontline information as well and letting you understand what it's like to be in Spain during the global pandemic. First up, we have a Louisiana native named Marcus. He actually thought he had coronavirus. Let's take a look.
Okay, all right, let's go. 1, 2, 3. My name is Marcus. I'm from New Orleans, and I've been living in Spain for the last 2 years. And now I'm currently in Palencia, Castilla y León, not too far from Madrid. So where I live in Castilla y León, it's a lot of elderly people. There are young people, of course, because we are a university town. And so here, when it first happened, most people were they were pretty, apathetic about it because we haven't gotten many cases. We got about, I think even now in Palencia, we have maybe only around still 10 cases. When we got to one case, we were very fearful because, as we know that this virus affects older people in ways that us young folks would never, imagine, they could die from this. I mean, we can too, but they have a higher chance at it because we're younger and we have a better immune system. I think, my city could be an example for the rest of the world that even though we only have 10 cases, we want it to stay there. We don't want it to go higher than that because that'd be very detrimental for everybody. Everyone's wearing a mask and we're wearing gloves and everyone's trying to take it seriously, even though we have a very small amount of cases. And I don't see that happening in some of the bigger cities with more cases.
With over 15,000 confirmed deaths, El País, the newspapers, actually said that Spain had one of the highest mortality rates when it came to coronavirus.
I love traveling, so every weekend or when I ever get a chance, I like to travel places. And I had been in the Basque Country and in Madrid and other places, Rioja, Logroño. Those were some of the highest reported cases when it first came here. Basque Country, it was the first place to close schools, and then Madrid and every other school followed suit. I've been in those areas around Carnival time when it began to peak. Or at least, we saw a spike in numbers. I don't know who decided, coronavirus and allergy season would be in the same month, but that's low down. That is just low down because I have allergies to pollen. I can deal with fever, fatigue, and all the other things. It was the shortness of breath that got me. And so that's when I thought I was dying. I thought that the headache I developed, which now I know is fever, and that's when I knew I had to get help for it. I was washing dishes, and that's not even a very physical activity. I mean, you're doing some physical stuff, putting dishes here and there, but nothing. I mean, I felt as if I ran a mile, when you're washing dishes, what the hell? There is a number for you to call if you suspect that you have coronavirus or symptoms of it, and you want to get some professional opinion for it. So that number, of course, is overloaded. Everyone's calling, especially here in Spain, because, it's, as we know, the numbers are very high. I kid you not, probably 90 times to get the number. And when I actually got to Madrid, they put me on a hold for another 20-30 minutes. And so luckily though, my symptoms were not as bad as some people, so I can understand it. I understand why they put me on hold. And the doctors told me that, it's probable that I have it because of the places I had been to. But the doctors did tell me to just isolate myself, rest up and get fluids. And that's what I did. If you've never had those problems before, then when you have those problems, you feel like you're dying. It's like, why am I having this? What the heck? Now, the blessing in disguise was I was able to call my private insurance with a 24-hour number, and I was able to talk to someone immediately. So that was a blessing in disguise because if it had gotten worse, I was able to get to someone very quickly. So that was the process. In terms of testing, asked them 3 times. I just want to test just for my own personal knowledge, just for me to know. And now it's been about 16, 17 days now, and I'm doing a whole lot better, as you can tell. I think there is a huge lack of testing for good reason. I think, if you have mild symptoms, I mean, the only thing they could really tell you is just to take, something for the fever and just to stay home and rest. So I get it. If you get the positive diagnosis or not, if you have the symptoms, you're more than likely to have it or you have something like it, So it's a huge lag in the testing here and really around the world. I don't even know the scope of my coverage back in America. I mean, they always say you have full coverage, but that's not, they always something else they added to it. A copay, you got to do this, you got to do that. But I feel that the quality is better here. particularly in the area that I'm in now, because there were very little cases here. But I'm grateful to be here because I have very good coverage here. I do miss family, but I'm grateful to be here in Spain to have the full coverage, almost full coverage with my insurance here.
They've called a state of alarm, and they're since extending the state of alarm until May 10th. Now, the Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez, he said that he understands the sacrifice that this second extension entails. And as a result of all this, and of course, the amazing healthcare workers who have been sacrificing themselves, they're on the front line, working hard. The cases of coronavirus have actually dropped in Spain. So that's really good news.
This coronavirus, or as I call it, the Rona, is a brand new type of hurricane. It's like invisible. You know, it's like we don't know where it's coming from, where it's going. We don't know, anything. At least with hurricanes, we can, the forecast is, it's a day or two, if even that. The flooding subsides for the most part, in a day or two. But with Rona, you just don't know, when it's going to go away. You don't know who has it. You don't know who is asymptomatic, because Rona is disrespectful. Spain has autonomous communities, which people who don't know that means that, they give basically autonomy to each region, linguistical rights and linguistical things, cultural, all these different things you can do that governors wish they could do, but they really can't do, because you got to do it's a federal government thing versus the states. And so I was waiting for the federal government to say something or do something, because at that time, we only had when Mardi Gras happened, we had about I want to say around 50 or so cases in all of the USA, or maybe, I don't know if it was USA or Louisiana. I think that my family's taking it seriously. Luckily, my grandmother does not live in New Orleans, and so Louisiana is getting hit, but the epicenter is in New Orleans. My mom lives there. Where my grandma lives, there are about 2 or 3 cases as of right now, again, that are diagnosed. But, we don't know who are undiagnosed walking around either. And so they're taking it seriously. But friends, I have had to somewhat scream. I had to be their mom and their daddy the last few days. Yeah. Because they're going to the park. They're not taking it seriously. And I think now that they're seeing the numbers rise as they are, they're saying more and more people are staying home, and they're wanting to stay home more. But I think that should have been done a week ago too. This is Darwinism. I mean, of course, you science folks don't quote me on this, but I think you have to adjust to life as it goes along. I guess social Darwinism, or things of that nature. We are a teaching family, so I have a habit of finding lessons in everything. So I'm writing a small, not a book, but like just my own personal notes called Lessons from Rona. And right now I'm still developing it because it's still going on. So as each day I say, okay, universe, what should I learn today about this? What do you want me to impart to the world? One of our biggest pharaohs in today's society is the lack of financial education in terms of just anything, And while we're on quarantine, for most of us, sit down and get a plan together to get your savings in order, get your finances in order. That way, because in 6 months, if you can't tell me that you are financially set for this happened in 6 months from now, you're in grave trouble. But when you don't have your finances in order, you have to worry about how to actually, feed your kids. That leads to anxiety. That leads to, depressive symptoms. I can share some more at another date, but right now, get your finances in order. That should scare you, but let that fear lead you to a desk and get some pen and paper and talk to your spouse, your partner, and family, and say, how can I get my finances in order? That way, if this happened in 6 months from now, I can be set. We're talking about physical health, but the mental health is definitely being affected by all of this. Right now, the world is being traumatized all at once, and that trauma is affecting everyone differently, but we're all being traumatized at some point, because you know someone who has been affected by, at least most of us now have at least know somebody that was affected by this, either with symptoms or actually diagnosed. We also know people, in the world, famous people that have died, that have been affected by this, especially the loneliness. A lot of us are in isolation. Isolation drives you insane. And so the mental health is really a big thing. But thank God for, social media and, these sorts of apps, because you get to see people. Because if this had happened 20 years ago, I'm not sure I could have survived it. I probably would have fled like most of my friends did here. I would have went home. In the long term, this will affect the mental health as well, along with the physical. So, it's all connected. It's all connected. After all this is said and done, I have several hopes, because hope is the precursor for anything due in life. I hope that we have a deeper sense of community, a deeper sense of, as I said earlier, financial responsibility and wisdom. I hope that this time that we're at home alone, or not alone, but just home from work, that our creative juices start to flow. And I hope that in 20 years from now, if I would love this to be earlier, that we would have millionaires from our people that said, during the Corona time, during that time I was quarantined, I couldn't do anything. I got very creative and I wrote a book plan or business plan that I then, through the years have, done things on. And now I finance myself through that. And it's from Corona. I hope that there's some positive stories coming out of this. I mean, we already know there's going to be some babies made. I mean, we just know that, that's going to happen anyway. Very positive, of course. I'll tell you one last story. I have a cousin in Miami. He was out of work for about a good maybe, 3 or 4 weeks. And he launched this company during that time. He sat down and you know what he always tells me? He said, business plans don't just come to, your mind. They come down from the heavens and they get to your buttocks, and it's attached to a seat. And it comes on up as you sit down and you write. It comes on up to your mind. It doesn't just go to your mind. It goes to your butt. And then when you sit your behind down, it comes on as you write. Those ideas just keep on coming up. And that's exactly what he did. And nowadays he is, he's doing good for himself, and so this business. So we have a massive time right now to do this.